Hi everyone, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Today is Monday, August 17th. Thank you for joining us today for our regular Q&A session here Monday through Thursday, live on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, Mondays on Facebook, JQK Law Firm, and the recording of this on YouTube, the JQK Law Firm YouTube page. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get the latest videos we post all the time, the latest news and information related to the practice and use of U.S. immigration law. So you'll find a lot of information here that could be helpful. And as a reminder, if you're interested in having a fiance case or a marriage case, you have a relationship and you want to get a green card for that foreign spouse or future spouse, check out the Ultimate Marriage Green Card ebook free at www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook. You can download it, get the entire strategy of applying for a marriage-based green card, and then talk to a lawyer after you have that. It's the first step you should take when making a big decision like that. So with that, let's get it started. All right, so something I forgot to talk about, which I always do at the beginning, is to remind you that this is educational only, for general education, not intended for individual legal advice. You should consult with a lawyer in private if you have some sort of immigration issues like that you want to talk about. That's a place to go to, because a lawyer has to really review your documents and talk to you in person, live, to see what's going on and how they can help you. Without that, it's not a good decision to go. So we have our question. Nazir says, hi, good to see you. Good to see you as well. Thank you for joining us today on our live session. Yvonne says, do a flip. I can't. I wish I could. That would have been fun when I was younger. Oh, our TikTok feed got shut off. What's going on? All right, sorry. Technical difficulties, everybody. TikTok decided to put an ad in the middle of a live. Let's get it back in together. What's going on, TikTok? I think President Trump doesn't like TikTok, so they're probably putting something on their phone or something. All right, our live feed to TikTok is down. Facebook, feel free to send me a question if you have any. But my live is just not working right now on TikTok. Let's see. All right. Oh, we'll get there in a second. Okay, so we're setting back on TikTok. Before that happens and the questions start rolling in, a couple quick updates regarding immigration. So, as you know, the public charge rule is supposed to come back for most of the United States, and that entails submitting Form I-944 or DS-5540 if you're at the embassy. A federal appeals court said that a nationwide injunction would stop the public charge rule from being reinstated across the United States. It's not valid except for 3 states in the Northeast, New York, and 2 other ones. But the USCIS website that talks about the form has not been updated. So if you go to apply for adjustment of status, Form I-485, and you go to the website, it does not reference the fact that the public charge rule is back. It says there was an injunction. Also, it's hard to find the I-944 page directly on them. You could Google it and the form comes up, but generally the website's been taken down. So it's a weird situation. It's not clear. For cases right now, I am submitting it with the I-944. Some lawyers are not, saying we don't have any direct reason to do that. But a lot of my cases right now, we had already prepared it, and I'm not worried about the public charge, so I am. There are a couple that were a little more nuanced that I submitted without the I-944. I took advantage of the opportunity. But the other ones, that's a situation that exists right now. So it's kind of a weird situation. USCIS even did update its website. It made some major changes that are really problematic. So they may or may not affect you as a practitioner. They're hiding information that they used to make public. So I have problems with that. I'm trying to see what I could do. But as you know, there's a lot going on with U.S. immigration. It's a big controversial situation. Zell says, can we check if the U.S. consulate in Mumbai is opening for immigrating interviews? Yeah, you could go to the website, check their Twitter account, or just call them up or email them. So the situation with the embassies is that some are opening, some are not. Of those that are opening, some are doing all types of visas, some are doing very specific types of visas. So you have to study your own embassy or consulate you're going to by checking their Twitter account, checking their website, maybe even emailing them, and to see what they have to say. And note that even though they may be open, they may even schedule an interview, they'll just cancel willy-nilly. I have a colleague in Israel who every month has a U.S. embassy there, schedule interviews, and then 2 weeks later canceling them, and then 2 weeks later saying, oh no, we're rescheduling, and then canceling again. So this is a constantly moving target, the situation with the embassy closures that you have to be careful of, and there's no real answer to this because it's really based on COVID-19 and the fears that they have. And secondly, a lot of the travel bans have caused confusion. So there's just a lot going on. But if you really want to get the most up-to-date information, check their Twitter account, check their website, email them, see what kind of auto response they give, and do whatever you can to try to connect with them, because those are the people that can help you. But the reality is, if you're waiting for an immigrant visa interview, this is a green card interview, it's really up to them to interview and schedule it for you. You don't have any power. So let's say they do open up, it doesn't mean they have to schedule an interview for you. So if you know for sure that they're open and months go by, maybe you could ask them and say, hey, what's going on? But overall, you have no power over this. So I get this question a lot. When is the embassy opening? It doesn't really matter in your circumstances. They'll get to you when they get to you for the vast majority of cases, unless there's an error that's causing them to miss you. Hopefully that's not the case. We have a couple questions on Facebook. Alejandro says, hi, thanks for all your help. Indeed, my question is, I got married with a US citizen and I want to use the last name of my husband. Do you know if this can affect my legal stuff in my native country, Mexico? Well, the reality is that's what can be affected legally in Mexico is a question you should ask from a Mexican attorney or the foreign attorney. I handle US immigration law. I'm not really in a position to be able to give guidance on how things affect the foreign country. But you know, when you get married in the United States, in many states, you could change your name at marriage, and then you could use that name change to update your passport, and then use that in your home country to show the name change. But it's up to the regulations of the home country if you need to do a separate name change there. This is the gist of it, the total of it is, I can't really advise you on what's going on in Mexico in your home country. I can only help you with the US portions of it. Satan asks, in reference to your 4 years and 1 day rule YouTube video for naturalization, when did this policy change happen? Does it apply to someone who applied with that rule last October? Yes, this policy change was published about a month or two ago, maybe 2 months ago, maybe even 3 if time flies. But you could go to USCIS policy manual, you'll see that there. And yeah, it's going to apply for whoever is applying right now. It's just this interpretation that they have now could have always played. Now they just more specifically are saying this is the kind of thing that we're going for. Mohammed says, I'm on a B2 visa as a tourist visa in the United States, and I want to extend it as my visa expiration date is in September 2020. My question is, if I don't receive any reply for my extension, can I stay in USCIS for the next 6 months? And then it follows up, I also would like to change my status from B2 to F1. How long does it take to take that status? And if my F1 visa request is denied, then my B2 will stay or not. Okay, so this is specific enough where you need to consult with an immigration attorney. With that F1 question, I have a video on this. You have to search on the JQK Law YouTube page where I discuss the issues involved with changing from a B2 tourist visa to an F1 visa. So I'll leave that there. You can look at that there. With regard to an extension, I have a video on this as well, explains it, but I'll re-explain it here. If you submit an extension from I-539 of your tourist visa, you could stay in the United States while the case is pending. If it's approved, it's approved. If it's denied, you have to immediately leave. But extensions are possible, and you can stay until a decision is made. You're in an authorized period of stay while you're here. Now, technically, they can pick you up and put you into removal proceedings for overstaying the previous visa. But as a policy matter, they've said, we'll let you, we won't come after you unless you have some sort of criminal situation. And they don't count what's called unlawful presence stays while your I-539 is pending. Now, what unlawful presence days is a little technical. These are unlawful days you're here that can be used against you in creating what's called a 3 or 10 year bar. I don't really want to get into that, but essentially my clients come to me and want to do an extension of status. I say, well, yeah, we can do an extension of status. You can stay here while the case is pending and not to really worry about it, and just do a good job in the application to hopefully get the approval. And if the time comes where you could go back home, then go. Now you have to have a reason, you have to have a good reason that you're requesting extension. It used to be really easy to get these extension requests, but nowadays they become more strict. So what I would say is, you know, it's not just, you can't just request an extension just to do it. You should have a reason, explain it, have background information, financial information, all this other stuff to try to get it approved, because again, they've gotten really strict on this kind of stuff. A user 37 on TikTok says, can a person file a green card without getting married if they expire their stays and have I-94 card? It depends. It depends on what kind of case it is. So that's just too general. I need to know a lot more information on what the basis of applying for the green card is. Bibo says, how to get migrants interview in India. Well, I just explained that in detail about what's going on there. Essentially, you have to wait for an immigrant visa, which is what I think you're asking. You got to wait for them to contact you. Raveen says, I submitted an inquiry on the USCIS website about my I-130 outside of normal processing time, and there's no question follow-up that I see there, but essentially they suck. You just had to wait to see what happens. Sometimes things take longer and there's nothing you do about it. It's pretty typical of USCIS to disregard requests when things happen. When someone, for example, has delays and they say, why are you delayed? They just disregard what you're saying. It happens frequently, unfortunately. Okay, Rabin follows up. They email us saying that they will make a decision within 90 days or we should get a notice. Yeah, they'll say that and then 90 days will go by and nothing happens or something will happen. There's not much you could do, but it's good to file that complaint and hopefully that'll get something going. Jam says, what kind of arrest would or could stop me from getting my citizenship? That's kind of a weird question. It's like, how could I die? It's like, well, people could die in many different ways. It's too broad of a thing for me to be able to answer. What kind of arrest? That's a kind of weird question. Lego says, did you take the bar exam? Yes, I'm a California bar licensed attorney. Bar number 267607, I think it is, 237607. I have to fill out all the forms I submit, but I have an auto form filling program, so I haven't read it. I think 267607. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm a California bar attorney. Ravin says it's usually within 90 days. Hopefully, we'll see. It's not usual when it comes to immigration and USCIS, unfortunately, but hopefully they do. User 35 says, when court opening in San Francisco, sir? I don't know. You should look up at the EOIR website, the Executive Office for Immigration Review. They are the immigration court system, and see what they say about San Francisco, about things opening. And every couple of weeks they change it. So you need to just check that website and then see what happens. I don't really discuss case openings and closure because it varies depending on the city, the type of case it is. There's too much individual information I need to know, and it constantly changes every day. So even thinking about it is not needed. Just kind of wait, and it happens when it happens. When is COVID-19 going to end? I don't know. Some people are saying end of this year. Some people say 2021. Some people say 2022. It's the same kind of question to ask me. Range says, my friend won $10,000 in the lottery, and he's an F1 student. Will it affect him in the future? No. I mean, as long as it's a lawful lottery, and I don't know exact rules of lottery. I assume foreigners could play it too. I don't see any reason why you can't. Plus, every lottery is different. So every state lottery is different. So probably not, but I need to study the individual case to see what exactly were the terms of that lottery, or there's any prohibitions in that state or something like that for him to play, how old they were. Maybe they're underage and they won the lottery. Well, that's an illegal thing. So I don't know. I have to talk with your friend to see exactly what happened. Probably it's not a problem, but I can't give that specific kind of advice or case-specific thing without knowing all the details involved in that case, and that's just law right there. When you're a lawyer, you got to be careful. You can't just say stuff willy-nilly because people are going to rely on it, so you got to be careful. But that's an interesting question. Yeah, the lottery, I mean, they shouldn't be playing the lottery. They got lucky, but usually it's a waste of money, so I wouldn't recommend playing the lottery in general. Just call it luck for that $10,000. Kiash says, is it important to have your husband's name on your husband on your ID card? No, a lot of people don't change their last name. It's not a big deal. You do if you like. You don't have to. It is not a requirement for you to take your spouse's name when you are applying for a green card or for immigration benefits. It's not a requirement at all. If anything, it causes a lot of havoc for yourself to change the name, but a lot of people do. I mean, it's custom in America to do so. But again, changing the name is not a requirement for getting a marriage-based green card. It's not looked upon negatively or frowned upon. It's not even an issue. It's just that if you do change your name, know that you change your name. I've had a lot of clients where at time of marriage here in California especially, we could change your name. They change it, don't know it. And then later on, they're like, oh, I didn't want to change my name. This would cause problems for me. So usually the other way around, I've had issues. And then when you're traveling too, because you have to eventually update your passport and stuff, that becomes a hassle because your green card has one name, but the passport has a different name. So the name change issue creates more problems than it helps. But in general, people like to change their name. So you could do what you want to do, you know. That's it. It says, I applied for my spouse in November 2019 and I'm a lawful permanent resident. Do you know how much time it will take to get a green card? No, you just have to wait, and when it's your turn, you'll get it. User says, are you from California? Yes, I'm in Los Angeles right now. Akiash says, some countries usually have ID card with your name and your father or husband's name underneath. The U.S. doesn't have that, so that's a foreign thing. So I mean, it helps for prove a bona fide relationship, I guess, but it really is not something that matters. I'd have to see the whole case. Now, if you have barely any proof that you're a real couple and in a real relationship, then yeah, maybe having that stuff's helpful for the bona fide relationship proof. But as a normal thing for life, no, it doesn't matter if they're on the ID or not, and the U.S. doesn't have that kind of stuff. Okay, Kyra says, bro, waiting for a marriage interview. Yeah, just keep waiting and you'll get an interview notice when you do. I started getting biometric notices for all my cases that were filed in February 2020, and I got my first interview for a client that had their original interview scheduled in March 2020. They just rescheduled here in Southern California for a couple weeks, actually. They gave us like 2 weeks notice. What's happening with these reschedules is they're not giving you much time, so it's popping up pretty quickly. but you just have to wait. That's the reality of it. Chanty says, can I have a question? Did USCIS, they still working? Because I petitioned my husband. It's about 9 months now, but I don't hear anything yet. Yeah, they're still working. Nothing has stopped with regards to processing cases. You just have to be patient. I don't know your individual case and what issues it has, but 9 months isn't necessarily a weird timeline for I-130s if that's what kind of case you submitted. You just got to be patient and wait for it to happen. Lucra says, how long are the appointments taking to be sent out to Mexican citizens? They take a long time. Right now, Ciudad Juarez, the embassy there is shut down, so nothing's moving. And even before the shutdown, it was taking a year. So I'm probably going to take even longer now. So patience, patience, patience. That's the only thing I can say. It's going to take a long time for a Mexican case. Bali says, I did bail for someone. I can cancel that. You know, this is an immigration show. I don't talk about bail. And so, you know, talk with a criminal attorney or a person who handles bail stuff. China says, thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate coming on the show, and I'll be on Facebook and following. Akiash says, will lockdown again have an impact on giving away spousal visa? I mean, yeah, it could delay interviews. The main thing is the interviews get delayed if people can't go and do their in-person interview, or if the embassy stays closed. So that's where the delays come in. And yeah, it's possible, unfortunately. Lucra says, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, Lucra. Yeah, this is a pain people are having. But things are slowly picking up. But the bad news is USCIS might be furloughing more than half of its employees. This means they tell the employees to go home and sit there. We don't have enough money to pay you unless the government has a bailout of USCIS. And so they'll probably still be accepting applications because they're going to keep, I think, 7,000 or 8,000 people still on staff. I'm assuming they're going to get the cases at the lockbox and send you receipts so that you know you got the case, and then they're just going to sit on it. So at least you'll get the case in, and this can be helpful for people filing for adjustment status who want to stay here. But let's see what happens. We're just about close to catching up on citizenship cases, the backlog on that, and then restarting the marriage green card interviews. But now if the furlough happens, it's going to be a disaster for immigration. We'll see what happens. It's unfortunate. They're just blowing through a lot of money and blaming COVID-19, but it's not the case. They just hired a lot of officers to do fraud investigations. And people ask me this all the time, you know, how things got stricter. One of the things is the administration has hired a lot of people to recheck applications. They try to catch people in fraud, and they do a lot of frivolous stuff. So pretty much a request for evidence is an RFE, for sure, RFE, request for evidence. And this is something that people get when you send an application and when it's missing documents. In the past, you know, if someone's really missing, they'll send that to you. Now, all the time I get these for things we actually sent them. So it's a huge waste of money that happens. I'm assuming this is policy because every immigration attorney I know is going through the same thing where they ask for birth certificates, marriage certificates, all this stuff we already sent them. So it's very suspicious, and obviously all that extra time they're doing to hassle people is going to cost money, and then they run out of money. Mimi says, I've been married for 9 years. Can I still fix my wife's papers? I don't know. It's not about your marriage length. It's about your wife's status and background and your financial background as well. So I don't know until I review your case. What you could do is download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card ebook first, and that'll give you some idea of what I'm talking about. Go to www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook and download that, and then read that, and then schedule a consultation with my office once you have a better understanding of how the process is. But your 9 years of marriage doesn't really play into this. Galaxy says, visitor visa extension applied already 60 days, but no response yet. Please advise. Well, it's going to take a while to get a response. You should have at least got the receipt notice, which means they got the case. After that, you have to wait. Sometimes I've had B2 extension or tourist visa extension cases that take 8 or 9 months to get a decision. So, and sometimes it's faster, but you just have to wait. Shuga says, hey, I applied for a green card for my husband back on February. How long it'll take? It'll take however long it takes USCIS to make a decision on your case. Kyra says, I-765 application for work authorization. I applied February 20th, 2020, and now 20 days already. So, yeah, you gotta wait. Some of my cases are getting them now that are filed. I know I applied for like 6 of them in February. 3 of them got it this week and last week, really. And 3 of them still haven't got it. They might go longer. These timeline questions, there's no control over it. They're gonna take however long they're gonna take, and you just have to be patient. Anthony says, I was granted the green card on December 2017. When can I apply for citizenship? Well, it depends. First of all, did you get your green card based on marriage to a U.S. citizen or not? And if it was based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, are you still married to a U.S. citizen and living with them? In that case, the green card could be applied for after 3 years as opposed to 5 years. Now, let's say you are married to a U.S. citizen, you have to wait the regular 5 years. Whether you're eligible to file it or not depends on a lot of other factors. Have you been paying your taxes? Did you do selective service registration when you were supposed to? Have you had any criminal history? Do you have any other good moral character issues that could be problematic? So without knowing all that, I can't really advise you as to when is appropriate for you. You should just schedule a consultation with a lawyer, talk with them, and get the details down so they can advise you as to what's proper for your case, because there's too much information that we need to know before giving you that kind of advice. Sugar says, do I have to contact my lawyer or just wait? I don't know, Sugar. I don't know your case. I can't advise you what to do. Chrissy says, I applied for my green card in June, did my biometrics last week, so happy, and they sent my advance parole. You applied in June 2020 and they sent your advance parole already? Wow, that's wonderful. And this is what I'm talking about. When people talk, hey, how long is it going to take? This person got advance parole, or probably work permit with it too, after 2 months, and that happens. And sometimes it takes 8 months or a year, or sometimes, just a year. It's crazy. But it's just inconsistent. So when you ask me how long is this going to take, I don't know. I don't want to say 2 months because most likely that's not going to happen. But it might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, it might be a year. I don't really know. It's really inconsistent. There's no consistencies. The timelines on USCIS.gov are not reliable either. You kind of just have to wait. The number I say, the magic number for work permits, 6 months after filing. But I easily see it take longer or take shorter. Again, I have 6 cases submitted in February. That was 6 months ago. 3 of them are approved. 3 of them haven't been approved yet. They may all get approved tomorrow or a month or 2 or 3. I would not be surprised if it took that long. I had one that took 9 or 10 months in 2019. And we had complained, and the person really needed it too. We complained and complained and complained and complained and complained. The client was so frustrated, but eventually got it. And what are you going to do? Myra says, Form DS-260 just sent out. What is next? Form DS-260 is when you're applying for a green card through the embassy system. That's one of 3 things that you have to submit. Not only do you submit the DS-260, you have to submit your civil documents and then your financial documents. So I don't know if you've done those or not. Once you submit everything there, the National Visa Center does a review of your case to see if you have everything in order. If it is, then you have to wait for your turn to get an interview notice for the the embassy appointment, the interview. And when is that going to happen? I don't know. No one has an answer to that, not even the embassies. You just have to be patient. But your question, the way you asked it, I don't know if you did everything else you needed to, and if that information has been approved or not. So you really need to consult with an immigration attorney if you want more specific guidance. But a lot of it is just waiting and see what the next step is once you submitted everything that you're supposed to and it's been approved. Shuga says, and my wife is a U.S. citizen, but I only work. I don't know, Shuga, I lost track of your question. You got to say it all in one place. Baji says, whatever you so mean. I don't know what you're talking about. Chris says, yes, thank God, that for real. Bali says, why don't answer my question? Bali, I don't know what your question was. Just re-answer in a sentence so I can see what it is. I probably did answer. You probably didn't hear me. MB says, how long does it take for I-130? I don't know. It varies depending on the case type. Galaxy says, can asylum apply on business treats in home country? Can asylum, I think you're saying, can a person who has asylum do business trips to their home country? Technically, you're not supposed to go back to your home country, so that's that, but people do, and they don't get caught with it or they don't have issues, but technically, when you have asylum, you're not supposed to take advantage of the security of the home country, so you can't use their passport, and so going to that home country also calls into question your asylum case. So as an attorney, I don't recommend doing that. If you want to do whatever you want to do it. It's not, I don't advise you to go to your home country now that you have asylum. Baji says, that's too bad for your business. Okay, Baji. Crazy says, for my advanced parole, they used my fingerprints from where I put 3 years ago. For green card, they sent notice. Well, that's good. So I had a video of this published last week too. Nowadays, because they want less people to go do their biometrics appointments in person because of COVID-19, they're looking into the system to see if they had previous biometrics, the fingerprints already in the system, and then they reuse those for those applications. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I'm glad to see here that they did. In your case, you don't have to bother going back again and doing your fingerprints. That's a headache of going out there, and it's a risk. So when you do your fingerprints, you have a person grab your hand, put it on a machine, and rub it on there so you get your fingerprints. It's with COVID-19, everyone, it's a scary kind of situation. Less interaction you have, that's not physical, the better that it is. Okay, so Big Money says, hey, how long will it take for them to give my wife an embassy interview? I don't know, whenever they get around to it. Okay, so let's see. We got a person here that was getting annoyed that said I didn't answer their question. I got a quick second to see what their question was. And I'm going through it. I don't even see their question. So Bali, I don't even see your question. You got to ask the question first. You might have asked and not press send, or TikTok had some sort of issue. Oh, here it is. I did bail for someone. Can I cancel that? Yeah, I already answered your question. So watch the video of this on youtube.com, JK Law. Essentially, my answer was like, this is an immigration show. I don't talk about bail. That's a criminal matter. And so I did answer your question. So that's that. Let's see. Thank you, Nancy. It's very nice of you. Nice compliment. She says, I know my stuff. Well, I try. A lot of studying every day, all day. Immigration law changes every second, it seems. So you got to really be on top of it. Mosa says, how long does it take for a green card to come after the request for evidence got approved for a juvenile case? There's no timeline. It'll take however long it takes them for them to come. You just have to be patient. There's no deadline for USCIS to bring that in most cases. I don't handle special juvenile cases or SIJs, so I don't know if there's a special regulation for that. But in general, you just have to wait, and that's about it. Toddy919 says, you're the best. Thank you so much, Toddy. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Thank you. Nancy, you want to interview you too? Oh, thank you so much. I don't tell you, but let me know what kind of format. You have to contact me about it, but show me some examples of previous interviews you've done so I get an understanding of the format that you have for this kind of stuff, and we'll take it from there. All right, Lavender says, my spouse is a green card holder and in the United States. How long is the wait to get an interview or green card? It varies. Again, a timeline is not something I can answer. Funny Bone says, for a green card holder, if you're unemployed right now, is that possibly affect naturalization? No, if you're applying for citizenship and you're currently unemployed, it's not a problem. Employment itself is not something that's looked at for the citizenship application. They're looking at good moral character, and it's just like having a job, not having a job is not a problem. But the thing that you got to look for is, did you file taxes when you're supposed to? Did you have other kind of issues? But unemployment itself is not a factor that's supposed to be considered in citizenship. Who knows? It's discretionary, good moral character, but I've never seen it be a problem. Bauman says, is there any chance for heirs act to be passed in the Senate? Thanks. It's politics. Maybe, maybe not. It's who knows? As I ask you, who's going to be president in November? I don't know. Maybe Biden, maybe Trump. Maybe they both. Something happens. Someone else comes. Who knows? Ushpa says, hi, my interview is on the 3rd. Will I get oath the same day? They are trying to do citizenship oath ceremonies on the same day in most field offices, but not necessarily all of them. So you just got to see what happens in your case. Blount says, Heroes Act. Yeah, no problem. Nancy, okay, Nancy, send me a copy. Let me see what happens, and we'll try to set something up. But thank you for letting me know about this interview. I appreciate it. So we're reaching the end of the show. We might have a minute or two. If y'all had some remaining questions, let me know, and we'll get into that. But the timeline situation, unfortunately, is pretty strict, and so it's hard to answer that because it varies so drastically for every type of case, every location. At the end of the day, it's not really in our hands at all. It's really in the hands of the government and when they get around to it. But with regards to green card cases, if you're planning on starting one, as a reminder, go download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card ebook at www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's a free ebook that can really help you. It's www.marriagegreencardebook.com. No, marriage green card, that's not it. It's marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook. That's what it is. Other than that, I've been posting a lot of videos on YouTube, long 15, 20, 25-minute videos, really breaking down each portion of a marriage green card process, taking that ebook, that's like a page or two per chapter, and doing a 20, 25-minute video. They don't get that many views, they're long, but if you want the full answer to the question, how long is my case gonna take, you have the full answer there. I gotta keep plugging that. So it's a 25-minute answer if you want the full answer. So, so these quick answers people want, you're not gonna get it here. Go watch the full video and hear it there, what's going on with your case, how long it typically takes, and the issues that are involved. I guess with that, we're gonna call it a day. Maybe take one more question right here. Saib says, do you know when the USCIS schedule a green card interview? Well, go check out that YouTube video I just talked about on jqqlaw.com where it talks about processing times for cases. And the short answer is no, we don't know what's gonna happen. Funny Bone says, I missed my fingerprint date for naturalization. Can I schedule for a different day? They usually automatically reschedule for one more. You should probably resubmit that appointment notice they sent you and ask for rescheduling to be safe, but usually they automatically reschedule you for another one, but hopefully take care of that. All right, everyone, God bless, be safe. I'll see you all tomorrow. We're gonna be on Instagram, JQK Law Firm on Tuesdays, and we'll take it from there. Bye, everyone.